3 victories in their last 4 games, the Pittsburgh Steelers have escaped from the black hole of Calcutta in the AFC Central basement and enter rainy Cleveland Municipal Stadium with hopes of continuing their winning ways. Head coach Chuck Noll hopes there will be a silver lining to the Steelers' cloudy season. If they beat the Browns, a winning record is still possible. But that is exactly what Cleveland and their head coach Marty Schottenheimer will try to prevent. The Brownies are tied for the division lead with the Bengals, and to stay in first, they'll need to beat Pittsburgh today, assuring their first seasonal sweep of the Steelers since 1969. Something else they could celebrate is the 23rd birthday of exciting young Cleveland quarterback Bernie Kosar. Although the happy event is actually a few days away, Bernie wouldn't mind blowing out Pittsburgh's candles with a strong-winded passing performance. From the banks of Lake Erie, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers and Cleveland Browns in the AFC Central matchup on the NFL Game of the Week. Quarterback Mark Malone is one of the reasons for Pittsburgh's recent success. After being benched for 1 game, Malone has stormed back and revived the Steelers' faltering passing attack, something the Browns discovered on Pittsburgh's very first drive. Number 83, Louis Lipps hauled it in for a 44-yard gain, his longest catch of the season. Hobbled by injuries, this has not been a typical Louis Lipps season, but this certainly was a typical Louis Lipps catch. Malone continued to stay with the air game, but Cleveland's cagey linebacking core, one of the best units in football, finally caught on and temporarily stopped the Steelers' forward progress. However, a Browns penalty put the ball at the 1, where number 34, Walter Abercrombie, wasted little time in taking it in. Pittsburgh broke out on top 7-0, then turned matters over to the defense. The Steelers ranked 6th in the conference, not bad at all for a struggling team. But against the Browns, they found it a bit difficult to get to Bernie Kosar. In fact, they didn't sack him once the entire game. Unfortunately for the Browns, they couldn't take advantage of the protection, as their first 2 drives were pockmarked with dropped passes. But Cleveland's run blocking helped get the ground game off to a good start, with number 34, Kevin Mack, following their escort. After some solid running gains, Cleveland's receivers got a better grip on the situation, with sure-handed Brian Brennan, number 86, chipping in with several key receptions. Later in the first quarter, the Browns appeared headed for the tying score when Kevin Mack displayed one of the great second-effort goal line runs of this or any season. But a holding penalty wiped out Mack's brilliant effort, and then Cleveland's fortunes really turned sour on the very next play. Number 53, linebacker Brian Hinkle's tipped interception ended the drive, but no touchdown was allowed as Hinkle was ruled down before the return. Then Cleveland held the Steelers and got the ball back into Kosar's hands for another assault at the Pittsburgh end zone. Tight end Harry Holt's grab put the Brownies on the doorstep again, and this time they did not fail. as number 33, Curtis Dickey, followed a convoy of blockers in for the tying score. For the moment, this game looked like it would be a tough, close-to-the-vest affair, but things were about to open up in a hurry. The Steelers have allowed the fewest sacks in the entire NFL and only gave up one against Cleveland. Time to throw is not going to be Mark Malone's problem on Pittsburgh's first drive of the second period. It was keeping the ball away from the Browns' defenders, and that weakness appeared to put Cleveland in position for another scoring drive. Number 23, cornerback Mark Harper, playing in place of injured starter Frank Minifield, returned the pickoff deep into Steeler territory, paving the way for an almost certain Cleveland score. But the Browns then committed a similar miscue of their own. For the second time in a 5-minute span, Cleveland was intercepted at the goal line. This time the thief was cornerback John Swain, number 26. But the jeers turned to cheers when the pickoff was wiped out by a Pittsburgh holding penalty. Given second life, Cleveland played it safe and kept it on the ground. And Kevin Mack rewarded such prudent thinking with the Browns' second rushing touchdown. Cleveland had its first lead, but it vanished quickly. The Steelers showed they could run the ball also, with Walter Abercrombie sparking the attack. In the blink of an eye, Abercrombie took a pitch out and galloped 38 yards for the tying touchdown. It was Walter's second score of the half, and it showed Cleveland that the Steelers were going to keep it close throughout the day. Neither club would ever lead in the game by more than one touchdown. If the Steelers were going to gain the upper hand, they'd have to find some way other than sacking the quarterback, because Cleveland's pass protection simply wasn't going to let up. The results of their efforts showed up in plays like this Kosar bomb to fleet rookie Webster Slaughter, number 84. The completion began a balanced drive of run and pass that would enable Cleveland to close in for a score before the end of the half. After some clutch Brian Brennan catches and a Pittsburgh penalty, Kosar fired his first touchdown pass of the day to All-Pro tight end Ozzie Newsome, number 82. Although Newsome's 30 catches this season are well below his career average, Ozzie has still been contributing heavily. Injuries have slowed the Wizard of Oz, but he hasn't missed any playing time. And this catch in particular probably helped salve many of Newsome's wounds. With time on the wane, Cleveland hoped to take their lead with them to the locker room at halftime. But those prospects dimmed on the kickoff following the Browns' touchdown. Number 28, Lupe Sanchez ran it back 58 yards, but Pittsburgh could do no better than a field goal attempt from Gary Anderson. And that, too, misfired as the half concluded. Steeler coach Chuck Noll watched as his team had missed a big opportunity to catch Cleveland. But one good thing had happened. The rain finally stopped, and as halftime approached, Noll was already plotting strategy that he hoped would hound Cleveland in the game's final 30 minutes. Such plans would work and make things quite uncomfortable for the Browns, turning this game into a real dog-eat-dog affair. After having scored on every possession but one in the second quarter, the Browns offense slowed down in the second half. Following the kickoff, Pittsburgh kept Cleveland from getting a first down, and punt returner Rick Woods, number 22, helped keep the momentum swaying in the Steelers' direction. Although Woods' 52-yard return was nullified by a penalty, his effort inspired Mark Malone and the rest of the offense. Utilizing all his offensive weapons, Malone moved the ball to the Browns' 1-yard line. Then, with Cleveland head coach Marty Schottenheimer wondering whose number Malone would call next, the signal caller confidently called his own for the touchdown. Malone's quarterback sneak tied the game at 21-all. However, following the kickoff, his counterpart, Bernie Kosar, was anxious to prove that the hot hand he displayed in the first half had not cooled down. The Kosar to number 88 Reggie Langhorne combination carried the Browns deep into Pittsburgh territory. But at the 26-yard line, the drive appeared to end with a fumble. The Steelers recovered the loose ball. However, their celebration was only temporary. Following a review of the play, the officials ruled that Kosar was in the act of throwing. Therefore, it was an incomplete pass rather than a fumble. The incident was typical of the Steelers' misfortunes, and for head coach Chuck Noll, it was just one more nightmare in a season that has been a very bad dream. With new life, Cleveland suddenly could do no wrong, while the Steelers couldn't do anything right. Number 33, Harvey Clayton, was called for pass interference. And on the very next play, running back Curtis Dickey went around right in to give Cleveland back the lead. Dickey gained only 17 yards on the day. However, a replay of the touchdown shows that number 33 negotiated the 4 tough yards of the end zone with little difficulty. Dickey's run was the final score of the third quarter, giving the Browns a 1-touchdown advantage going into the final period. Pittsburgh's offense is ranked last in the NFL, largely due to its ineffective passing attack. Therefore, there was little doubt as to the Steelers' late-game strategy. Most of Ernest Jackson's 53 yards rushing came on this opening fourth quarter drive that ended with Malone's second short touchdown run. With the score tied again at 28, it suddenly seemed the Steelers may be turning around their season, as well as turning back the clock to the victorious years of the 70s. While Pittsburgh had gone with its strength to tie the game, the Browns predictably called upon theirs to hopefully regain the lead. Kosar continued to pick apart the Steeler defense, and his elusive receivers like number 84 Webster Slaughter kept tacking on yardage with each reception. Critical to Kosar's passing success all day long was his ability to pick up Steeler blitzes and quickly dump the ball to an open receiver. With just under 2 minutes remaining, Kosar moved Cleveland to the Steeler 8, where Matt Barr kicked a 25-yard field goal. The Browns' 31-28 lead, for all intents and purposes, should have been enough, considering that Pittsburgh would have to move into scoring position without much time and without an effective passing game. However, following the ensuing kickoff, the Browns were considerably more concerned about their slim lead when Barr strained a knee ligament making a tackle. Without a kicker, the pressure was now on Cleveland's dog defense. Despite the fact that the Steelers' air attack is among the league's worst, Pittsburgh's offensive line has allowed the fewest sacks in the NFL. And with sufficient time to throw, any pro quarterback will eventually begin completing passes. By protecting their quarterback long enough to get the ball off, Malone drove the Steelers into field goal range. Gary Anderson's 40-yard kick with only 11 seconds left sent the game into overtime. In the sudden death period, neither offense was able to move the ball on their initial possession. But the first break of the overtime came when Cleveland punt returner Gerald McNeil, number 89, slipped down the sidelines for an 18-yard pickup. Good field position, the Browns kept the ball on the ground in the very capable hands of running back Kevin Mack. Mack gained a season-high 106 yards as his efforts were key to Kosar's passing success. After 4 consecutive running plays, Kosar went up top, and his second pass ended the contest. Webster Slaughter's 36-yard touchdown reception gave the Browns their first season sweep over the Steelers since 1969. The 37-31 victory also kept Cleveland tied with Cincinnati for first place in the AFC Central at 8-4. Cleveland's remaining schedule is not as tough as the Bengals, which should work to the Browns' advantage, unless they continue to have difficulty with a team they should beat, like Pittsburgh. For the Steelers, who had won 3 of their last 4 games, the loss drops their record to a disappointing 4-8. Just as humiliating, the once dominating Steeler defense allowed Kosar to have the best passing day of his career, completing 28 of 46 passes for 414 yards. A perfect birthday present for the young quarterback.